Good morning.
Good morning from New York City. Well, a
How
hotel
is
room
New
in New York City.
York? How is New York?
It's beautiful. I'm right in Times Square. It's very difficult to sleep because my room faces the road. So you hear all the ambulances and all the police cars, and there's the M&M's building is right across my room. And so there's a lot of lights all through the night with all the M&Ms. So, but it's New York and Christmas, and you can't beat that.
Oh, it's already Christmas in New York? My goodness.
Oh yeah, all the lights. It's beautiful. Yeah.
We always make a lot of fun of, how quickly after the All Saints, the Christmas
Uh-huh.
comes. It used to be like a
Yeah.
month, and now it's like 2 days. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I went to a nearby restaurant to buy some food a couple of days ago, and they were already
Hmm.
putting all this Christmas stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Christmas already? And they were like, we don't want to be last this year. Last year we waited and we were the last ones. Now we don't want to be the last ones, to have a Christmas decoration. So I'm like, my goodness, it's still time. It's still have a couple of weeks. So
I
anyway,
think it I think it speaks to people's desire to the holidays are so wonderful and you get to spend in most cases time with friends and family and it speaks to kind of the desire to get those feelings quickly to come. So yes.
um, do we have? I wonder if we have anyone because this is a different timing than usual. So I'm wondering if we
Mm-hmm.
have anybody. Is there anybody out there? Is anybody listening to us? Anybody out there? You guys? I don't know. Maybe if there
Say
are any
hello in the
comments,
chat. Yeah.
I would love to see them. If not, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people watching our performance
The
later on. And today the topic is super important because we are starting a little bit. We had a couple of discussions about the leadership topics,
Yep.
but for everyone listening to us, Renee and I, we decided that there is some. Oh, Dennis has joined us.
Hi,
Hello, Dennis.
Dennis.
Hey, how are you
Excellent.
doing today? It's great to see you, Dennis. Thanks for being active on the live event. It's always very helpful for us. So Renee and I, we were talking about it, and we decided to structure our conversations a little bit. So Renee, we're gonna talk about. It's your idea, so you need to introduce that. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So as Magic and I were talking about leadership, we also got a couple of questions around can leaders be trained or is it something that you're naturally gifted and born with? And it's absolutely a learned skill. Everyone can learn to be an outstanding leader. And we thought we would share with you something that I usually do only through private courses. But it is, we're living in such times that we desperately need good, strong leadership. And in Magic and I's discussion, we said, why don't we really put a series around this and talk about the 21 laws and also share a little bit of how we have experienced those particular laws in our careers and in our own journey as leaders. So that's how it's here. And it's really special. And I really want all of you to ask lots of questions and be very interactive, not only in the live sessions, but also during after the live sessions. Magic and I always continuously check the comments. We reply. We check direct messages. Thank you for those of you who sent me direct messages and requests on the Johari window. I received them. I responded to you privately, and I can't wait to hear back from you with your results. So, and Magic did a lot of work putting some beautiful imagery for us. So, Magic, tell us a little
Yes,
bit.
and there is a concept called 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Okay, and
Mhm.
and this is something that we would like to bring you, like to structure a little bit our knowledge. We use this kind of a framework, um, and the topics are not something that you can teach over the webinar, or probably we would have to run a lot of webinars. It's
Yeah.
something that you really need to deep dive in a more kind of either face-to-face or maybe individual conversations. So we won't be able to cover deep dive on each and every leadership law. But what we want to do for over the next probably 21 weeks or so is to bring to you those concepts of those laws, the highlights, the high-level concepts. So you get yourself, familiar with that, and then if you're interested in any of those particular areas, you can always reach out to myself or Renee, and we're happy to schedule with you additional time to go through any of those laws deeper, okay, or more in a more personalized way.
Magic, before we proceed, I want to make sure that everyone understands that the 21 Laws of Leadership were originally written, and they are intellectual property of John C. Maxwell, who has been my lifelong leadership mentor and teacher. So I want to make sure that everyone knows the correct source of the information.
Yes. We're using this framework that Renee is extremely familiar with because she's certified. You're certified in teaching those laws, right? So this is not coming. So we are obviously respecting the intellectual property and going through a proper certification here. Yes, but we want to bring them to you. Today. It's a I think episode 0, because it's not episode 1. We are not going to talk any of the laws today themselves, but all those 21 irrefutable laws of leadership have some things in common. And today, I guess we wanted to cover those in the time that we have. So those concepts that we're going to cover, they are kind of a foundation for all the 21, correct, Renee?
Correct. And what's interesting about, and the reason they're called laws, you'll hear a little bit more about that, but they're foundational and they are cross cultures. It does not matter what your background is, if you're from a different country, if you're from a different social construct. All of these laws will lead to you increasing your effectiveness in terms of your leadership skills.
Correct. Law number 1, or foundational concept, I should say, concept number 1, Renee, it's the learnability of the laws.
Yes, correct. And this refers to the fact that, again, one of the things that John Maxwell says is that leaders are lifelong learners. And that applies to these laws, but it applies to all sorts of other things. For example, I'm in New York learning from other leaders. Yesterday, Jim Collins, who really is a true management master, spoke at the session, Simon Sinek, and a lot of other leaders. And the reason that's important is because just like technology and AI is changing the world, by the way, AI is also changing leadership. And there's been an enormous amount of discussion around AI and leadership in this conference. So the concept of the 21 laws is a framework that will stand the test of time, but you can absolutely learn them. Are you going to be wonderful at all of them? Probably not, right? But the first step is to really be aware and then understand them so that you can strive to improve every day.
Think about this. What Renee said it's very important and should kind of click for you. It's to become a lifelong learner. It's super important, but I would say that lifelong learning always starts somewhere. It will start with you taking the first step. So first of all, you can learn to be a leader. This is something that you can learn if you put enough. Yes, some people might have some special skills or some they're born a little bit born leader, maybe born more than others. But to become a leader, you can really learn if you put enough of the hard work and understanding and effort, and if you use the right sources for learning, you can really learn all those 21 laws of leadership or any other leadership framework and become a very, very effective leader yourself. So any of the laws that we're going to present over the next 21 weeks, if you put your heart and mind to it, you are probably going to become experienced, or you're going to master them over time. Okay. If there are any questions from anybody, and I see that there are several people on the line, so if you are driving a car, don't text, don't put the comments. But if you are not, feel free to comment and ask and let us know if you want to know more about this. Okay, so the second one is the independence of laws.
Yeah, and this really speaks to the fact that you don't have to learn them in any particular order. They stand on their own. They can be applied individually. You don't need them to. They're not ingredients to a cake, right? You don't need one versus the other. They're all relevant. You might have, as Magic mentioned, some natural inclinations to certain types of laws where you don't have to work as hard at them as you would other ones. Okay. But they definitely stand on their own, and you don't have to learn them in sequence or any such of those things.
And what is really important, I guess, as well in this from that point of view, is the fact that learning one doesn't necessarily improve or diminish your ability to learn and apply the other ones. So if you pick and choose any of the 21 and you decide to focus on one particular area of those leadership laws, the fact that you're going to learn one is not going to diminish your capabilities in another space. So you will see it's a very interesting concept, because you can really pick and choose where you would like to apply your leadership skills and what are the areas that you should develop, and that will help you to develop this particular area. You'll have to put efforts into developing another area as well, but that one will not impact negatively or otherwise the other one. If I understand it correctly, Renee, correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay, so this is the topic number 3, or the foundational concept number 2. Sorry, it's the foundation concept number 2. And I chose the tools because I think the tools, each and every tool, can be used independently. Obviously, the more tools you have in the chat, the more effective you are. So that's why I thought this picture is going to be very, very, very interesting. Consequences of ignoring the laws. That's another foundational concept.
Yeah. This is my favorite way of demonstrating this. Let me see what I have in here. I don't have anything handy. What I have, I don't want to drop. But again, you really, it's interesting. John always says you don't have to agree with the laws, right? Here I have this, right? My napkin. If I drop it, what is that, Magic?
Well, you dropped something, yes.
Yeah. So what's the law behind that?
Gravity, I guess.
Correct. So the law of gravity doesn't need me to agree with it or not, right? But if I fail to ignore it and I decide to walk off a 3rd story, I'm going to fall and break a few legs or a few bones, right? So there's definitely some consequences at not acknowledging the law, right? In this case, it's not as dramatic as me falling from a 3rd story and breaking my legs, but it would really result in just ineffective leadership. And Magic and I spent a little bit of time a few sessions ago talking about the differences between leading and managing. And that generally is what happens, right? People that ignore the laws don't make the transition into effective leadership. And the inverse is correct. It's also correct, right? If you apply them, you will definitely increase your effectiveness tenfold, if not more. Honestly, one of the ways that I often recommend this is you take one law and you follow, you really build behaviors and plans for a week or a month. My preference is 42 days because that's what creates a habit. And so you keep a law for 42 days and you practice it very intentionally, and you log your reflections on how that practice really served you. And that's a great way of putting them into practice and mastering them over time.
And I want to say that the fact that we're gonna share those 21 laws with you. I learned a long time ago, and I believe this concept applies to anything that we do or learn. Is there are those 4 steps of learning. There's a unconscious incompetence. I don't even know that I'm incompetent, right? So the fact that you don't know that the law exists, you're still incompetent, okay, and you are probably not effective as you would like to do. There is a conscious incompetence, and that's what we are trying. At least a minimum thing that we wanna share with you is show you what are your challenges, potential challenges, where you are potentially incompetent. Being consciously incompetent is the first step to start moving to the next step, which is what Renee described, which is building a habit. So becoming consciously competent. You kind of work it for the 42 weeks or 42 days?
42 days. Yes.
For 42 days, you are
Yeah.
consciously competent, and you kind of put your mind and heart into implementing those activities. And at the best, kind of the final stage of your learning curve should be unconscious competence. It's the example that I was given years ago was when you finally start driving a car with a shift stick, and then you don't need to think about shifting the stick. You just do it naturally, whenever the car needs that. That means that you have mastered, the shift stick, and this is how you should think about, getting through this curve and the activities. Today, you are probably, I'm probably ignorant of some of the challenges that I have. The moment that somebody describes them to me and shows them to me, I can start my learning curve by becoming the consciously incompetent, and I can put things into activities. Okay, and we have the 4th one, which is the final concept, foundational concept, which is that those laws are the foundation of the leadership.
Yeah, and what's interesting is this is not the end all be all of your leadership journey, right? But it is, in order to build that house, you need a very strong foundation. And when you learn those laws, the first time that I actually read the laws and became consciously incompetent because I knew that I didn't know, right? I was 24 years old. So I was a bit ago, and I've spent basically a lifetime, right? Not only learning and continuing to make sure that I have a strong foundation, but then building on that foundation of the 21 laws, elevating my leadership and constantly challenging my own biases, constantly trying to become unconsciously competent.
Yeah, at a certain point in time, you just know that, okay. And again, mastering those laws will make you a more competent leader, more effective leader, and mastering them is going to help you to also realize where there are areas that you can accelerate your leadership skills, and how you can become more effective. You can become consciously competent and then unconsciously competent in the end. Those are the 4 foundational concepts. And I think what I would like to finish with, Renee, is what are we going to do over the next 21 weeks, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a little bit different than us doing this in a one-on-one scenario, or I teach them to teams as well. But this format doesn't necessarily allow for big deep dives or for you to, to work on very specific plans, but we are going to elevate and bring you from unconscious to conscious, right? Every week, we'll cover one. We'll answer questions for those that will be on the line. Magic and I will give you our experiences on how we applied those laws and how we made the transition from unconsciously incompetent to unconsciously competent and every step in between. You can follow along and build your own little private or your personal growth plan on your side. You wouldn't have the benefit of a coach next to you, but it's okay. We'll really try to work with you as best as we can. And then most importantly, we'll cover some examples on how we found we use them to lead others using the law, right? And so I think you'll enjoy it. I hope that you will get a lot of learning and goodness from it. Magic, would you like to add something?
Again, we will try to make sure that there is obviously the knowledge, and it's important. I think, sharing not only the knowledge and the concept and the content, but also the live examples, what we've experienced over the last several years of leadership, and working with each other and working with others. I think it helps to understand better. Many times people present me with an idea, and then I kind of scratch my head. I think I understand it. I think I know what they are talking about, but then only by looking at the different examples of what they really mean, many times I have the second aha moment, and we say, oh, no, I thought it's this, but it's actually that. So what is going to be super important in those sessions is, yes, we'll bring the knowledge to you, the understanding, the framework. We'll share with you our own examples. But what's going to be super, super crucial in the discussion is either online conversation, okay, questions from you, whatever, or a follow-up or some kind of a follow-up. And the follow-up could be twofold, okay? You could potentially go and research online. I encourage you to do that. There are probably many, many sources, and maybe there will be things that we'll be able to share with you, things that are available online. But there will be also, things, we'll give you an opportunity to maybe also have some one-on-one discussions with us and to deepen your knowledge and understanding and try to really deep dive into the discussion. Obviously, we cannot do it, publicly online on a live stream, because not everybody wants to share everything about their particular situation. Maybe some people will, but you're more than welcome. But if you want to have a more deep dive conversation, just reach out to us, and we'll be happy to talk to you about this.
Yeah, I will also add, Magic, that just like your driving example, which I loved, just because you learn how to drive on day one doesn't mean that you're an expert driver right then and there, right? You can't Google experience and you can't AI experience, right? You need to first get the foundation, learn how to shift. And then with practice and over time, not only do you create the habit, but you gain so much more experience and it enriches your understanding. I often go back and reread the laws because while the law doesn't change, I do, right? I go through different experiences in life that then help me understand the law now from a completely different dimension. So I recommend that you also keep that in mind, right? You are always changing and growing as a human being. Every day you get up is an opportunity for a brand new start. So make sure that you keep that in mind.
Yeah, and there was a couple of weeks ago. I mean, maybe we need to one day come back to this concept. We had a conversation about how to move from kind of a leader at a certain level to move one level up. I would
Mhm.
suggest that when you grow your career and you move to the next step and the next step and the next step, you need to revisit your
Mhm.
stick shift capabilities, because it might be a different car
Yeah.
with a different amount of horsepower and a different steering. I don't know.
Well, no, Magic, that's exactly right. Right here in New York, as we've been, so I'm going to do a shameless plug. I don't get any credit for it, but I believe in this organization a lot. It's the World of Business Ideas, and they have been around for 20 years. And they were talking about exactly that, right? Is we change, we evolve, and so does the circumstances. And so we want to make sure that we're always challenging our thinking, right? And challenging our own knowledge and our own biases and learning more. And that's why it's important that you get a lot of practice and you continue to practice. So as the car changes, you adapt. And you still, I've never learned how to drive a stick shift. Sorry, Magic. I know that's a
I'll show
sin.
you.
I've always driven automatic.
You know that I'm a great driver, right?
Yes, you are. You are. I was a little scared because, he's a very assertive driver, but he's very good. He's
We
always
lost
very
Renee.
aware. Yes. I'm here. Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you enjoy the conference in the New York,
Thank you,
okay?
sir.
And next week we are going back to our standard regular hours, right? A
Yes.
little bit later. So if we did wake you up today, if you're in the US and we did wake you up, we are really,
You're
really
here early.
sorry.
Yes, that's
If
okay.
we interrupted your lunch in Europe, we are really, really sorry. But I hope that you enjoyed the conversation, and we hope to see you. We hope to see you next week.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Join us next week.
Thank you.